Okay, I want to do circumcision intactivist protests at schools, particularly elementary schools, but schools. I've mentioned it tangentially in some of my other videos, mentioned it sort of in passing, and I wanted to devote a video to it. Let me start by saying, I wish I could say, oh, I studied human psychology, and I studied this issue, and I engineered it to be very powerful. In reality, I got so angry, I just wanted to shove circumcision in the faces of, like, upper middle class white America. I just wanted to shove, like, especially these non-regret parents who just these people just never even have to think about circumcision. It's never on their mind. I just wanted to shove it in their faces. But I started thinking about it, and I realized it had real power. I've sort of mentioned this before, but let me go through it again. This is a three-pointed. Well, even before I go into that, I am currently of the opinion that protesting hospitals at this point is probably a waste of time, a total waste of time, a waste of efforts and resources. Just in general, you're pleading with the perpetrators. You're pleading from a position of total weakness with the perpetrators of this horrendous human rights violation. In general, the issue can sort of be firewalled, right? The people in the hospital might be thinking about it, but they're the perpetrators anyway. The evening news might cover it, and people will try to forget about it as quickly as possible. What do we get for it? I don't know that we've convinced a whole lot of physicians to come to our side this way. I just, in general, in terms of raising awareness and getting people angry and getting people thinking about it, I don't think it's maximum bang per buck. I think you get very low bang per buck when it comes to protesting hospitals. And I know that, again, this isn't an attack on bloodstained men. Bloodstained men are in a very good position, actually. And I think some of the members of our audience are from, I believe, Mama Tanswan. I think she's out there in Brother K's circle. I don't know. But they're actually in a very good position to pivot, or at least try as a pilot program, school protests. And let me argue, I've sort of tried to demonstrate that there's not a lot of bang per buck in protesting hospitals. I still believe in protesting the AAP, if only for the fact that the international physicians are awoken to the fact that, or they're awakened to the fact that the American medical community rapes babies. Many of them are quite disturbed by that. And that it functions as the biggest worldwide meetup of intactivists probably anywhere. I want to be out there with you guys next year. I don't know where it's being held yet. I want to be at the AAP protest next year. I'm going to be there. I got to be there. Anyway, if only for those reasons, that's probably worthwhile. I don't know how many American members of the AAP we've really convinced. In fact, some videos of and conversations with fellow intactivists tend to indicate to me that the American members of the American Academy of Pediatrics are quite bad, and interactions with them on the part of intactivists are quite bad. Anyway, let me get on to justifying the school protest idea. Before I get to the three-pronged thing, let me say first, just in general, people empathize with children. Just going in, let's remember that. But okay, point number one. Protesting at a school and confronting people on this. It's highly divisive in general, but okay, specifically. Parents that circumcise, it heaps red-hot coals of shame upon them. That's like number one. And then when their children confront them on it, what can they possibly say? Oh, well, we cut off part of your penis because you needed to look like daddy, or because we thought you were a filthy animal incapable of basic hygiene. These parents, a lot of them will immediately know that they fucked up. And in fact, getting to them when their children are young, it may actually be the only time you can convince them that circumcision is bad, because they still empathize with their children. If you do it when they're 25, they're not going to care. They're just not going to care. But when they see their cute little 8 or 10-year-old or 12-year-old son confronting them on circumcision, it just destroys them. Or the thought of them confronting them on circumcision. They know they did something wrong. And they may actually, I would guess, that some of these circumcising parents may actually join up with Intactivism out of shame and regret. Maybe with their kids because of this. Recent videos on the Brother K channel, one of them called Mommy, Why Did You Cut My Penis? Where apparently a young kid confronts his mother in the car. They're at a stoplight at a Intactivist protest and confronts her about circumcision, and she says, "Oh yeah, that we did that," and he just starts screaming and crying. I've gotten other reports, I believe, from Flary Fox, who witnessed an event something like this. Maybe at the He might not have been talking about the Chicago protest. He might have been talking about another protest, but said that, yes, this is powerful. It could have been another one of my viewers. It's powerful. The circumcising parents, it's powerful. 2, the kids. Again, second point. I'm getting onto the second point of this tripartite, 3-pronged pitchfork to stick in the guts of the circumcision industry. Point 2, the kids. Again, people empathize with them. Parents themselves are more likely to empathize with them. But another thing, sorry, I jumped the gun. I didn't want to get to. I want to get to the kids last. Part 2. Potential future parents, prospective parents. Us protesting outside of schools and this becoming a trend, like an actual thing, or even focusing on a geographic location where you repeatedly come back. It means that potential parents, they don't even have to think about the immorality of circumcision or the intactivist case of human rights that we present. They don't even have to think about that. It is a loaded gun pointed at their head to say, if you circumcise, we're going to protest outside your kid's school someday. And the conversation can go one of two ways. It can go, Mommy, what are they protesting? They're protesting the thing called infant circumcision, and they cut off parts of babies' penises, but that didn't happen to you. We protected you. You're safe. It can go like that, or it can go like, yeah, we cut off part of your penis, son, because you needed to look like daddy, or we thought you were a filthy animal incapable of basic hygiene. Okay, it's not going to go well, and I think potential parents would know that. And it would just be, they wouldn't even have to think about it. It would just be, just to avoid the hassle, out of pure pragmatism, out of pure expedience and pragmatism, they just wouldn't circumcise. Point 3, the children. People empathize with children, the parents empathize with children. But I've noticed another thing, where if you can communicate circumcision to them before the age of about 12 or 13 or 14, where their sexualities are fully formed, that they have to defend, that they feel this need to defend their sexuality, they will have an automatic negative reaction to circumcision. They will have a negative view of circumcision for the rest of their lives. Now, there are some criticisms of this. Well, you're shaming parents or you're being divisive. Well, circumcision is divisive, and let's be honest here, this is going to get a whole lot uglier before it gets better. And the only way it is ever going to get better is if we start talking about it. And the only way we're going to start talking about it is if we confront people on it. And this is a darn good way of confronting people on it. Another is that confronting people like this will just make them angrier. Well, there's an argument to be made that things like circumcision bans. Brian Earp tweeted something the other day where he was in a Twitter conversation with somebody that said that trying to institute a ban before the culture is ready can cause a blowback and can strengthen the norms that support the institution of the genital mutilation. One could argue that the 2012 Circumcision Task Force report was in fact response to the 2011 attempt at banning circumcision in California. I don't entirely buy that, because circumcision bans offer a clear political narrative for young people if we're going to raise the issue. But I don't think the parents are right there with their kids. Their immediate thought is not going to be, oh, how can I fight back against this? It's going to be, oh my God, what did I do? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. It's going to be reflective and reflexive. It's going to be internal. Which is why I don't really buy that argument. There are other arguments, such as criticisms I've gotten recently, which is, well, you know, there's a lot of schools in America. And sort of a related position, which is that the inner core of Intactivism is actually quite small. We have a lot of fellow travelers and people who will pay lip service to it, but they don't. The people who have made it almost a lifestyle, a life mission to ban circumcision and get justice for the victims is actually quite small. I agree with these points, but I think they go in our favor. I am trying to use this as a force multiplier, an amplifier. I've already tried to make the case that, protesting at hospitals, we really don't get a lot of bang per buck. Protesting at schools, I mean, yeah, they're everywhere. It's great. It's a target. I call it a target-rich environment. And again, I think it's a more effective use of resources for our limited number of Intactivists. Some have said, well, it's sort of an insult to the efforts of, or it might be perceived as an insult to the efforts of bloodstained men. I disagree. This could be a shot in the arm for people like bloodstained men. They're in a key position to pivot, or at least try as a pilot program, protesting outside schools. And you don't even need that many people. This is such a targeted thing. All you have to do is put a couple people out there, because one kid has to see the sign and start asking and recognize it and start talking about it, and everybody knows what's going on. And there's a clear goal here to provoke a response in the children and to reach out to the victims. Whereas in the hospitals, I mean, do people really expect physicians? I mean, has a single hospital changed their circumcision policy and basically, as a matter of policy, outlawed, banned circumcision, routine infant circumcision in their hospital. I just don't think so. But here there's a goal. Hyping circumcision in the community. Others have said, well, people might try to chase you off or something. Well, they try to do that in Intactivist protests anyway. And mind you, public roads and sidewalks, these are public spaces. These are places where protests can take place. There may be a technicality where they want you protesting across the street from schools. I don't know about that. But regardless, again, all you have to do is get one kid to see it and get the kids to start asking questions. What's going on over there? And start asking questions. Mommy, what is this word, circumcision? What does that mean? Mommy, why do they have a picture of a baby, a naked baby with blood all over his wee-wee? It's like trying to keep people from seeing what's going on. It'd be like the Dutch boy sticking his fingers in the dike. You can't hold it back. All it takes is the word to get out in one way. And you can show up almost like a flash mob. Because all you have to do is show up for maybe 10 or 15 minutes around 8 o'clock or around 3 o'clock. I would prefer 3 o'clock because the kids are then with their parents all day, but then maybe 8 o'clock because the kids talk among themselves during the school day. So there's real power here. I think this is a key thing. It may be more important than anything else. Oh, and then if the media comes and talks to you, well, then you can give them sort of the cute response, which is, oh, well, we're reaching directly to the victims, right? Children are victims of circumcision. We're reaching out directly to the victims. Or you can just lay into them and tell them the three-pointed plan that I laid out. We're pointing the finger at circumcising parents. We're pointing a proverbial loaded gun at the heads of future parents. And we're specifically targeting the children because we know if we can get them early, they'll hate circumcision forever. I think this has power. We can't enact an agenda unless people are talking about it. We have to break the taboo. Protesting at hospitals does not do it to the degree that protesting at schools would. The faster we can get people talking about it, the closer we can get to a circumcision ban, the closer we can get to lifting the statutes of limitations on medical torts committed in infancy, the faster we can defund PEPFAR, the faster we can get government funding for 4Gen to make our children whole and to heal the damage that the circumcision industry has unleashed on this country and the world now. So this is really important. I think the entire Intactivist movement needs to make a pivot at this point in history. I wish I was in a position to be out there with you on the first school protest that you did. Unfortunately, I probably won't be able to be, but please, you guys at Bloodstained Men, I think Mama Tanswan and maybe some other people are in that circle of people. I beg you, even if you don't pivot immediately, try it as a pilot program. You're going to a town. You're going to do your main protest at the hospital. Send a couple people out at the beginning of the day or at 3 p.m. and send a couple people out there near the gates of the school. You have hundreds or even thousands of kids passing through a 15-foot wide point where the road goes in to drop off and pick up students. And remember, do it at the incoming end in the morning and do it at the outgoing end in the afternoon so that you get the parents together with the children. Anyway, you could do it as a pilot program. So guys, tell me what you think. This is important. I used to think that trying to crank up the lawsuits would be the biggest way we could force the circumcision industry, beat them down. I actually think this is it. getting people, raising the issue, getting people angry, and raising awareness, getting people talking about it. Tell me what you think. I really want to know. This is big going forward. I think this could be a game changer. Tell me what you think in the comments. Take care. Bye-bye.